I suppose you could call this video part 2 of a series about camping in state parks. And you may have watched my previous video on how I move water from the water station to my campsite, and that could be considered part 1, I suppose. If you camp at state parks a lot, you're probably going to find most sites are electricity only and no water and no sewer. They do have a dump station on site, and if you're camping more than a few days, you may actually have to dump your holding tanks. And on my RV, my black water tank is about 43 gallons, and I have 2 gray water tanks that are about 30 gallons each. And what I've been using up to this point is this 15-gallon Barker tote. And you may wonder why I'm using a 15-gallon tote when my black water tank is 43 gallons and gray water tank is 60. Of course, a 15-gallon tote won't take a full load from either the black or the gray tank, so you're going to have to dump it every 3 days or so. It just depends on how much you use everything on when you got to dump it. And I chose a 15-gallon tank because it was a little bit easier to manage. Water weighs 8 pounds or so a gallon. As well, I bought the smaller one because it fit in the back of my pickup easier. However, it tends to get in the way, so now I carry it, as you see here, on a cargo rack. That brings another problem up that I can no longer carry my bicycles. So I want to try to get this thing off the cargo carrier so I can put my bicycles back on. And to do that, I actually bought a different tote, one that's a little bit easier to carry on the ladder. So I purchased a Thetford Smart Tote 2. It's an 18-gallon capacity, and it's a 4-wheel tote. I also bought a ladder mount so I can mount the tote on my ladder. And I'll put a link in the description on where I bought all these pieces. I could have used the ladder mount without the tote, but the ladder mount was designed for the tote and it just fits it a lot easier. Plus I like this tote much better. And the other one does have a few shortcomings, so I'll show you the differences between the two totes and why I like this one better. The Barker tote is in the background, of course the blue one, and the Thetford tote is in the foreground. The Barker tote was about $120 if I recall, and I paid $144 for the Thetford tote. Barker tote again is 15 gallon. The Thetford tote is 18 gallons, so that's, to my math, 20% more capacity. And both totes will tow behind your truck if you have a trailer hitch. The Barker tote has a nice metal tow bar, where the Thetford tote is plastic, so I'll give that advantage to the Barker tote because that'll probably last longer. However, the main disadvantage of the Barker tote is once you get to the dump station, you have to lift it up and be quite heavy. The Thetford tote doesn't have that problem. It just stays horizontal. Both totes have a full indicator, although the Barker one, little full indicator on the front, is an optional accessory, and it's pretty expensive. It's $15 or $20, so if you added that to the price of the tote itself, then you're getting close to the cost of the Thetford. And I opened the hatch in the Thetford tote where the full indicator is, and you can see it's recessed, where on the Barker tote you could bust that off. Also on a Thetford tote, if you want to rinse your tote, you got about a 2.5-inch diameter rinse port, where the Barker tote uses a garden hose type thread. That can present a problem because not all the rinse hoses at the pump out have a garden hose fitting on it. And when we look at the business end of the Thetford, it has a built-in hose here. Everything's all built in nicely. And with the Barker tote, you have to carry the hose separately. So you have potential of having an icky hose bounce around in the bed of your truck. And this also has an attachment. So everything's all self-contained. And now the one thing I do not like about the Thetford tank is when you empty it, as soon as you lower that, gravity's taking over and it's coming out. Where with the Barker, nothing comes out until you lift it up. That's the one big difference I see between the two. Otherwise, I think this one is a little more sanitary. It's a little more convenient. You don't have to carry your hose separately. So let's put this on the ladder mount and see how it looks. Well, we have the ladder mount installed, and as I surmised, the blue tank won't really fit on here very well. This is pretty rigid. It'll hold 50 pounds. And let me give you a close-up of the mechanism. And the way this works is it has a pin that you pull out, and then you turn this thing 90 degrees, and then you put the pin in here, and that locks it at 90 degrees so you can climb the ladder without these folding back in on you. And the one thing you got to be sure of is that you're clear of the taillight, which we are, so it's up quite a bit higher than the taillight. And finally, it does also come with a strap to hold everything in place, so this shouldn't be a problem going down the road.